Hi Darshika, thanks for
Hi.
taking time for this interaction.
Thank you so much. My
So we
pleasure.
at Pepper are celebrating content marketing and are in the process of reaching out to and speaking to a lot of leaders with the sole objective of getting their insights on how the content marketing space has evolved over the years. How we need to know about your journey, how that has evolved, and in parallel, how the content marketing space as such has.
I come from a very traditional background in marketing and then switched to startups of late from the last 6, 7 years. So I started my career with Pepsi.
Oh,
And then kind of spent a lot of time with the Bank of Baroda, and after that in the startup ecosystem with say Instamojo, then Yulu, Navi, and Zolve. So I have seen very different formats of content throughout.
yeah.
And like my earlier days with Pepsi or I would say Bank of Baroda, it was, dealing with larger and bigger agencies, crafting campaigns around that. And the whole distribution and the whole creation was, I think, on a very mega scale,
Yeah.
predominantly not in-house but outsourcing most of it.
Yes.
And the content channels as well as the type of content was very limited.
Yeah.
But of late, right, what I have seen how content has evolved in my journey with startups, there are like, different formats of content. It's so whenever, even when we imagine doing a campaign, it doesn't just lie on which celebrity and which media channels, but how do you use it holistically from 360-degree perspective? Every touch point, it could be say mobile push app, or say a push notification or an in-app notification, or say even a mailer, even say doing certain infographics together and then translating the same thing into larger videos, short videos, long videos. I think all these formats have evolved of late, what I am seeing in my startup journey. So I think cost element for any marketer, it's like a very big thing, right? So I definitely was shocked when I came in from a very, regular corporate-ish background where, yearly there's a budget which is told to the team, and this is your yearly budget, this many millions or this many
Yeah.
crores, which is like huge, right? You just have so many options and you can plan, how many celebrities you'll bring in, how many locations you'll target, what sort of an overall campaign you'll do, how
Yeah.
many national level, or so many options around, going big scale. But when you talk about marketing in startups, I think every marketer or every company, there are different stages for any startup. Suppose if you're working for an early stage startup, the luxury is not always that you go big, spend, crores or that millions over the brand, because your product development initially is the kind of core requirement, I would say, or is kind of the need of the hour at that point of time. But then while the product is building, or there are different stages of product, you can't just go keep silent from marketing perspective. You need to build something so that your GTM is ready as the product. And because of that, right, the cost constraints here versus deeper pockets in say a bigger organization, there's a huge difference in the way the marketing is perceived for a big corporate or say an early stage startup, or say seed funded series A, B startups.
Yeah.
So cost element does play, and when you are cost crunched, right, I think you think very differently.
Yes.
You kind of want to get all your horses on to figure out something which works well for your brand, which
Yeah.
connects with your audience,
Yeah.
which is engaging, which drives you the ROI needed for business perspective.
Yes.
While doing this all, the cost of creation of that content is not as high as say the regular setup.
Yeah.
I think overall, content marketing is an ever evolving journey. What is happening today may not happen tomorrow, is something which I think everybody believes in. We, like you see right now, there's so much of discussion around ChatGPT
Yeah.
and so many other AI tools and the
Yeah.
open AI, which has now come in. Nobody ever imagined like this. We
Yeah.
always thought. So I think it's an ever evolving journey, and throughout my last 14 years, I have kind of seen it evolving from a very, very traditional setup to something like a chat GPT setup now.
Yeah.
And going forward, what I feel is going to just get better. It's really going to help the marketers relax a bit, because I think the time which we had kind of taken so far to kind of create even a blog or a mailer can now happen in a fraction of seconds.
Yeah.
I think going forward, this technology can be definitely improved. A lot of predictive analytics can come into place, which, say, for example, can make marketers like us so happy by letting us know that, which is the cohort which will like a particular product, or which particular, say, content. Say, for example, you may like a different format of content. Could be you may be a reading person, I may be a viewing person. So my inclination towards watching video would be much higher than yours. So how do you kind of, divide your audiences and do the content which is right for them or which is engaging for them?
Right.
And I think going forward, personalization also, if added here, could be a game changer. Already there are so many things, like the way now we see chatbots integrated to our websites or, say, other apps, the way they interact. I think that is something which will evolve further. Earlier we had seen there were days when people were asking very specific questions and an automated response was going. But I think it has improved. It has become more humanized. In fact, voice searches with, say, Alexa or Google Homes, even that's kind of improved over a period of time. So I'm kind of envisioning that areas like these will definitely evolve much further. There's already a lot which is done, which is for the good, for sure. So here is it. Very debatable question, I would say, because while I started this year, there were so many threads going on that, all marketers' jobs will now be automated, and OpenAI is there. But I think it'll take time for the platforms to mature, and an ideal mix, I would say, of a human and this tool would be the best outcome. Because, say, today I can integrate an AI tool, but I think my understanding of my startup or my understanding of my brand is, I feel, a little more. Now, say, as a tool, you might get different options. What could be the tonality of your, you've given like 5-7 options, but what tonality works best for a brand, say like a Pepsi or say a Zolve or say a Navi, or different company, right? Every company has their own ideology, and I think people kind of, acting inside know that well. So I think taking that combination, blending it with the best of AI tools together, will kind of create very, very fruitful results going forward, because that's going to save time. And the AI also, while we continuously kind of keep giving them commands, they will understand these things better about the company. And I think eventually there will be a time when the dependence of human will be, I would say, lesser, but I will still not say that it can be eliminated for sure, because you would still need somebody to kind of write the best commands to get the best outcomes. I think content marketing job, in its own is a bit challenging, because there's so much happening, while you are kind of preparing something, seeing on a particular trend, there's another trend already there in the market. So that's sort of a predictive model that you can foresee the trends coming forward can help definitely content marketers. And that's a challenge, because like I said, a lot of efforts are going into producing something which is relevant today. The very next hour that kinds of fades away, and that there's new thing coming up, so keeping up at this pace definitely is one of the challenges. I think a lot of challenge is around what content to produce, because today you have so many options, right? And how do you prioritize? Like, there would be, when you have, say, X million user base as your customers, not all may like videos. Not all may like reading blogs. Not all may like, for example, long format. Not all may like short format. So there are a lot of options. But what to prioritize out of this, if that could be predicted that, you know, majority of your users are kind of seen on this platform, and hence this is the kind of content which you should prioritize before this. So I think producing the right content, number one, producing a content which is engaging and which can keep up at the pace, because somebody who can kind of, you know, always foresee that what's going to come next. If there's a tool which helps me, what are the next few trends coming up for the next 5 days, my life is pretty sorted. But I don't think so there's anything yet like that in the market. So these are some of the challenges. We do produce a lot of content, and content distribution in itself is a challenge. For marketers like us, where we kind of, you know, like say in startups, you do content, right? But there's always a question what metrics the content has to kind of work on. So for example, if I'm writing a blog, which metrics I have to track? Does the blog CTA, if it entices the user to buy the product, is that the CTA relevant? And is that something, the product sale is something which I'm measuring from my content? Or it is my blog view visits have increased, or there's website traffic which has increased because of this blog? Or say for example, more page views and more engagement, or somebody has, you know, hyperlinked onto another blog and that is increasing. So there are so many metrics with content, right? Which is the right metrics which I should kind of track to measure the ROI for content in itself is a challenge.
Thanks for this interaction.
Thank you so much, Arnav. Thanks for making me here today.